Rosie on the house, every Arizona homeowner's best friend.
You've been with APS 13 years, I think I heard. Now, can you remember the last time APS was approved a rate hike increase?
So the last rate increase that we were approved to initiate was in 2024. So that was the actual decision.
Yeah.
But we applied for that rate case in 2022.
Yeah. And was it, am I thinking right? Was it that rate case where y'all modified it a little bit, where you actually modified the on-peak, off-peak to go to the Super Demander Plus?
I believe some of that was done in our 2019 case.
Was it?
I had recently listened in and talking about time of use. It used to be a little bit longer, I think 3 to 8.
Yes,
now it's 4 to 7.
Yes.
Yeah. We are not proposing a change of our time of use, which I know that'll be a good thing for you and your listeners.
Well, it is. You know, I was talking a little bit about the price of power, and Arizona averages 15 cents. But I just pulled up my APS portal now, and I looked at last month's bill, June. I'm at 10.5 cents.
Oh, I like it.
And it's because of the time of use peak plan with the demand charge.
Yeah.
And I got hurt a little bit because we had a big party at our house in the middle of the afternoon during the week, and I had to override the demand limiter and say, oh, this 2-hour party is going to cost me an extra $100 this month. But you know about it, and when you don't have that party every month, you can deal with it. But with APS at my house, with the pre-cooling plan that y'all talk about in your newsletters, I'm at 12 cents a kilowatt, which compares to the lowest electricity in America.
Which is amazing.
It is.
And that means you really understand your plan, which is wonderful. And I'm so glad you educate people on the different plans that we have and how to best utilize them so that you can really manage your bill month to month.
Well, let's talk about some of the layers that this. It's not just a request, hey, we'd like to raise our rates. I mean, there's layers of information in this plan.
Yes, that's correct. So as Jill mentioned, this is really step one. The application process is the beginning. So we just applied this month in June. And really what we're doing is we're looking at our costs. So if we look at our last rate case that I mentioned, which was finalized in 24, it was using costs from the 21 and 22 timeframe. So you can see that costs are not keeping up with our rates are not keeping up with our costs. And so this rate case is looking at our financials from the 2024 timeframe. And it doesn't only include what we're looking for as far as a rate change or a rate increase. We're also proposing other items within the rate case. And those include things like changing the way we manage our rate making for things like data centers to make sure that they pay their fair share as they grow in Arizona.
I'm criticized all the time because Romy and I really strongly believe there's not much that can stop growth in Arizona. People always ask us, well, what about the water? What about the water? We're fine with water. I mean, you can look at the bath ring at Lake Powell and get worried about it. But I've started saying about 2 years ago, I said, I'm not worried about the water in Arizona. I'm worried about the power. How many more of these data centers are going to come in? How much power do they take? I just drove by one in Virginia. I think the building was over a mile long. It was about a quarter of a mile wide. It did not have one window. It was 3 stories tall, and the employee parking lot was about as big as a Jack in the Box parking lot.
Yeah.
How much power is that building consuming?
So when we look at data centers now, even versus data centers that we saw in the past, they are exponentially larger. So if you think about like a big box store, which we would consider a large customer up until this big shift, or mine, you're looking at maybe 1 megawatt, 7 megawatts. I remember it was probably 10 years ago, I was working on a project with a data center and it was 10 megawatts, or it was going to be, and that was huge. Now you're seeing data centers come in and they need 300 megawatts or 500 megawatts, or you could have a complex where it's even greater than that. And so if you think about the amount of resources needed in order to power these facilities, it's significantly different. And so part of this rate case is proposing changes to make sure that that industry and other industries that are like it, where they use large amounts of power 24 hours a day, pay their fair share and it doesn't get pushed to other customers.
And I don't know who at APS deserves the credit for that. But that's why many states have shut the doors to these data centers, because they don't want the residents to pay for the infrastructure and the increased costs of providing the electricity. And someone had the good sense to say, well, they won't. We'll go to the industry for that.
Exactly. And we've even seen states where they did allow these, mega facilities to be built, and they did see cost shifts. So now they're going in retroactively trying to deal with it, whereas we're trying to be very proactive in that space.
Can you give us a comparison to what 300 megawatts is? Is that like this city of Tonopah? Is that?
I have been told that our data center queue, so like the people in line, is larger than some cities' energy usage in total. But to give you a sense, 300 megawatts, think about, 300 big box stores. But instead of closing at night and using less energy, they operate 24 hours a day. And so what you see from them is a very consistent energy usage that doesn't go up and down like other industrial sources do.
Wow. In some regards, that's easy to plan for if you can find the resources to provide the need.
Build it, yeah.
My goodness. So would you know offhand how many megawatts does APS deliver today?
So our peak demand last summer was around 8,200 megawatts. So on the hottest day where people were using the most energy, that was around our maximum.
And how much is this industry asking for in the next 5 years, 10 years?
40% more, 80% more, complete doubling, 100% more. Because they're so large, even if you had a third of them come here and build within our service territory, you could see, a peak demand growing to 12,000 megawatts or 15,000, depending on, how well we could keep up with that type of change.
It's not a manufacturing plant. They're not bringing hundreds of people to run it. It's very thinly populated. It's very clean industry.
It is very different than a large industrial manufacturing source coming in. That is correct.
And I look at a water ring around Lake Powell and I get worried. But I can't look out in the desert and see grids that aren't built.
That's correct, yeah.
I mean, this is really Rosie's biggest concern is y'all's challenge to meet this need. I know you're going to do it, but that's our biggest challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And any utility, any public utility is, we have the expectation to make sure that if we're going to allow someone to build one of these massive facilities, that we can actually meet their demand. And so when we talk about data centers, it's more of a question of when could we get you enough power in order to serve you while maintaining reliability for the rest of our customers that are here today. And so we would not do that in a way that would put our reliability at risk. And the data centers that we're working with and that are talking to us know that.
And the reliability is something, it's unique a little bit to Arizona just geographically. I've been caught in hurricanes where I had to drive north of the Mason-Dixon line just to plug in my electric toothbrush. I've got a sister in California who's been without power for 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of places that have to deal with it much worse than we do. But y'all's reliability is absolutely incomparable. And the fact that y'all do it at the range that makes it the lowest third of all power providers in the rest of the country is impressive.
It is.
That's genuinely impressive.
Yeah.
So anxious to see where it goes. It's a rate increase. It's a rate modification. You're just now beginning the process at the Corporation Commission. It isn't going to impact anybody this summer. No one needs to panic. No one needs to jump in. And I have a lot of listeners that always want to beat the APS man. They want to beat the man. And they'll spend tens of thousands of dollars to save $47 a month. If they would just learn their plan and learn how to use it, they would accomplish almost everything with the one phone call and a programmable thermostat.
It will absolutely help. And I would definitely let people know to go onto our aps.com. If you're a customer already, log in. We've redesigned. We've got dashboards that I think you message.
They are great.
You can see your usage, but you can also learn about your rate and other rates. And you can see month to month were you on the right rate? And if you haven't done that, I would definitely suggest any customer of APS to go in and check out, make sure that they're on the right rate.
I'm one of your rare customers you're both my water and my power supplier because we're on a private well. So
I was a little confused. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't pay a water company. I pay APS to run my electric pumps to get the water out of the ground. And there's all kinds of features APS has. And one of the ones I have is I get text alerts, and it notifies me anytime my bill crosses $350 threshold. And I got a text a few days ago, you're over the $350 limit, and there's 17 days left on your billing cycle. So I'm like, all right, I'm in for a $700 electric bill here in June. Now, there's RV hookups that are on the property. You know, there's a lot going on at our house, so it's not that big a surprise. But I was sitting there thinking about it, and like everybody that's here, and you divide it by, on a 30-day month, there's 720 hours in that month for a $700 bill. I'm like, that's $1 an hour to keep 3 structures cool and comfortable during the summer. That's pretty darn good.
It's a great way of thinking about it. Yeah.
You know, and that's not on that bill. You can, elaborate on this. Only about half or 60% of that is cooling right now. You know, there's so many other things on there: the electronics, the surcharges, the environmental fee, the this, the that, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we have redesigned the bill to be as transparent as possible, so you will actually see, how much power did you use and how much did that cost you. And then there are other factors on your bill. I mean, delivering power does cost money. It does mean we have to maintain a system and keep it functioning well so that you keep getting that power all 700 hours of the month that you're using it.
Rosie on the house, every Arizona home.